From the AMC point, we are very interested in improving our patient logistics and in patient safety. And that's why we're interested in applying new technologies to see how we can improve, besides organizational issues and cultural issues, how we can improve with IT technology our patient safety and patient logistics.
Now, what kind of new IT technology would truly help establish this improvement? The acronym RFID means Radio Frequency Identification. An RFID tag is a small chip with an antenna. So small it would fit, for example, on an adhesive or a wristband. An RFID tag can be monitored with a transceiver. Every movement of the RFID tag passing the transceiver will be recorded. Thus, complex logistic processes of any kind can be closely monitored. The RFID tags provide quality information on the whereabouts of patients, employees, blood products and disposables. People's movements can be monitored, not just to locate personnel, but also to check on waiting times for a patient, or to find out if a person is actually the right patient for the planned surgery. RFID tags supply a wealth of possibilities and create an environment for new applications to support professionals, processes and most of all, the patient.
I think this technique has big potentials, especially also in the transfusion world.
Although more research is needed, we see great potential and we will continue working with RFID technology.
Are you forgetful about taking your medications? A new microchip is being developed to help doctors tell if you've taken your pills and to see how they're working or if they're not working. It has digital sensors that work by activating this electric charge when the drugs are digested by your stomach, and then the date and time is recorded and can also measure your heart rate and breathing patterns. Pretty cool, huh? Well, the info is transmitted to the patient and doctor's cell phones, and this, of course, would be useful for psychiatric and elderly patients, or even as a reminder for women taking the birth control pill. Two major drug companies are considering this microchip still.
All right, this next story may sound like something out of, well, a Hollywood thriller. A Saudi inventor has created a killer microchip. It's designed to track terrorists and criminals and, well, you can think of somebody. Not only does it include a GPS device, it also has a lethal dose of cyanide, which can be activated at any time. You get my point? The inventor's bid for a patent has been rejected in Germany. Joining us now this morning to talk about it, Jake Ward, deputy editor of Popular Science. Okay, this is pretty macabre, pretty sinister and nefarious. How exactly would this work?
Well, there's a category of technology that involves GPS tracking systems being shrunk down to the size where you could actually implant it surgically. And we've seen a number of applications for this. This is without question the most sinister version of it that I've certainly heard of. You know, and the notion of tracking criminals is not new, but the notion of killing them remotely, I think, is a whole new thing.
Yeah, and Germany says, look, we're not going to approve this.
That's
because
right.
For that very purpose. And apparently, in some of the paperwork in applying for the patent, you know, you could track fugitives from justice, terrorists, illegal immigrants, criminals, political opponents, defectors, and Saudi Arabians who don't return home from pilgrimage. It's a little bit wild.
I agree. I mean, the thing about you know, this kind of patent is Germany has very tight laws about making sure that you're not registering something that really is just a bad idea, a scary idea. And in this case, this guy obviously has some very strong feelings about what it would be used for, but it just seems a little outlandish.
Yeah. Well, terrorist groups might be interested. I'm sure they'd be happy to grant their own form of a patent for that.
Sure.
The bigger world, though, of GPS, talk to us about how it's being used to, for example, track sex offenders?
Sure. The Washington State Legislature right now is considering the possibility of registering perhaps 100 sex offenders with a GPS chip that's implanted in their shoulder because they've found that a few of them have been wearing them on their wrists and then have cut them off, which just defeats the purpose. And so, but the larger world of this technology is actually pretty happy stuff. I mean, there is new technology for tracking Alzheimer's patients, you know, who
right,
may have
who
gotten
may
lost.
wander away.
Right. Right.
Sure.
Tracking the vital signs of professional athletes from the sideline. You know, there's been a couple of cases in which, you know, football players have collapsed of heat exhaustion, and seeing the early warning signs of that. There's technology that sort of allows you to do that remotely. You know, even something as benign as keeping track of your dog. You know, a radio frequency tag implanted in your pet. The vet, you know, finds a stray, scans it, and finds its rightful owner in an instant.
Yeah. Do you see an explosion of the use of GPS devices? And obviously a lot of people are concerned about an intrusion of privacy.
Absolutely, sure. I mean, I think that there is a trade-off there, and obviously this you know, the inventor who filed for this patent has gone across the line in terms of privacy. But the use of GPS in the future will allow you to, you know, you'll never lose your wallet again. You'll never lose your keys again. Right. It's that kind of stuff where you're going to, you know, you'll be able to beep any object you own, you know, and find it in the house. And so, you know, there's the vicious expression, and then there's the really, really helpful expression that I think we'll see in the future.
How do we reconcile liberty with security in this new world? Let me say something to you. I don't want to live in a police state or a Big Brother society or put any of our essential freedoms in jeopardy.
In 1787, an architect invented the perfect prison and called it the panopticon. The prisoners would be seen wherever they were, but would never know if they were being watched. It was designed to control the prisoners using surveillance alone, and was seen as the ultimate power of mind over mind. No panopticons were ever built, but Tony Blair's most expensive legacy will be to have turned the entire country into a perfect prison. The government wants to put a tracking device in every car on the road. Surveillance cameras are being connected to directional microphones, as well as facial recognition software, so they will always know where you are and what you are saying.
We will pursue identity cards because they're right. We think it is legitimate and right in this day and age to ask people to carry identity cards. It is the right thing to do.
Within a few years, you will be forced to carry an ID card, which will store a goldmine of private information, which will be uploaded to a database called the National Identity Register. Every time you interact with the state, it will form an audit trail, so the government will know your entire life's history. This will be linked to your medical records, your school records, and your DNA structure. Gordon Brown has already said that he will sell your information on to big businesses, whereas computer hackers will be able to get it for free.
Hello. How are you?
The information held on you and your children will be used to stop crimes being committed even before they've taken place.
If we're not prepared to predict and intervene far more early, then there are children that are going to grow up in families that we know perfectly well are completely dysfunctional, and the kids a few years down the line are going to be a menace to society and actually a threat to themselves.
I'm interested in how early, because a lot of the evidence suggests you need to be getting in there while the child is still in nappies, frankly.
Or pre-birth, even.
If the computer says no in a society where virtually everything that you do relies on the computer saying yes, what is that? Is that a one-off event, or is that from that point on, until you sort it out, you're a non-person?
In the past, they have had to justify each interference with our privacy and our liberty, and now we will have to justify our existence, our identity to them.
In Rwanda, the Belgian colonial government introduced ID cards to split up the native Tutsi and Hutu tribes by their physical differences. In 1994, the country devoured itself. An ID card marked Tutsi would get you killed at any roadblock. As everyone had an ID card, it made the genocide incredibly efficient, and nearly 1 million lives were taken in only 100 days. The secret police in Soviet East Germany had a file on every man, woman and child, with their history from the cradle to the grave, which were used as a means of control. They couldn't computerize these records, as they didn't have the technology. If they had, it would look like the National Identity Register.